Okay, so look at this picture. This was the first image ever taken with a camera in 1826 by French inventor Nicéphore Niépce. But if I paste this photo in an AI model and write a prompt to colorize and make it in HD, it gives me this result. From an unclear image to a perfectly looking photograph, all because of today's AI generation models. But how did we get so many image generation models today, and how did it all started? Let's find out. Did you know long before neural networks, computers did rule-based art? One of the first AI art systems was AARON, which was coded by artist Harold Cohen in 1973. AARON used to draw abstract shapes and figures by following symbolic rules. Essentially, it's algorithm of art. It showed machines could generate some images. Today's AI models are trained on millions or billions of images. They statistically predict what pixels should come next. They remix patterns they have seen, but AARON saw nothing. No internet, no images, no datasets. Cohen wrote thousands of lines of codes defining how shapes behave. He encoded rules like how lines can connect, how figures stand upright, how plants branch, how objects relate spatially. It was rule-based intelligence, not machine learning. In early versions, AARON produced abstract black and white line drawings using robotic plotters, mechanical arms holding pens. Later versions evolved and AARON began drawing human figures. Then it started composing complex scenes, people inside rooms surrounded by plants and objects. Eventually, it even began coloring its own work. And remember, this was happening in 70s and 80s. But during the 80s and 90s, the field of AI research began exploring probabilistic approaches to image synthesis. But then there was introduction of Markov Random Fields, which was a mathematical model. While the name sounds complicated, the core concept is surprisingly simple. To understand MRFs, imagine an image not as a complete picture but as a grid of tiny pixels. Each pixel has a color value, and together they form the image we see. Now here's the key idea behind Markov Random Fields. Each pixel only depends on its neighboring pixels. In other words, instead of analyzing the entire picture at once, which would be extremely complex, MRFs assume that what happens at one pixel is mostly influenced by the pixels right next to it. This idea is called Markov property. Now I know this is not an image generation model, but remember, it was 80s and 90s. But this made them incredibly useful for the tasks like image denoising. Imagine you have a black and white image with random noise. Some pixels are flipped incorrectly. Using MRF, the algorithm looks at each pixel and asks, do my neighbors mostly agree with me? If most neighboring pixels are white, but one pixel is black, there is a good chance that pixel is a noise. The model then makes adjustment to match it with neighborhood. Before 2014, if you asked an AI model to draw a face, the result looked like a zombie from a horror movie. We had neural networks, sure, but they were passive. They could recognize a cat, but they could not create one. They lacked what we might call creative spark. And then came a night in Montreal that changed the computer science forever. A group of researchers were celebrating a friend's PhD. But as researchers do, they started arguing about math. Researchers were trying to figure out how to make computer-generated images on its own. Most people thought the answer lay in complex statistics that would take years to calculate. But one man, Ian Goodfellow, had a different idea. He thought, what if we stopped trying to teach the computer the rules of art and instead we made two computers fight over it? In other words, instead of training AI in traditional way, you create a game. Then he coded the first draft of what we call now a GAN, a generative adversarial network. And guess what? It worked. To understand why GANs are so revolutionary, you have to understand the adversarial part. Imagine two characters, the generator and the discriminator. The generator's job is to create an image of a cat. In the beginning, the generator is terrible. It just creates the image with lots of mistakes. The discriminator's job is to look at the images of some real cats and the one the generator just created. The discriminator provides a feedback. Now the generator learns from it, and the process continues. Round after round, the generator improves. Eventually, the generator gets so good that the discriminator cannot tell the difference anymore. It was not perfect, but it was the big achievement for the time. By today's standards, these images look like garbage. They were tiny 28 by 28 pixels grayscale boxes. But in 2014, AI community gasped because the AI wasn't just copying a number from the database, it was creating a new number that did not exist. It wasn't just pixels, the AI was learning concepts. But the real celebrity moment for GANs came from NVIDIA. In December 2018, NVIDIA researchers distributed a preprint of accompanying software introducing StyleGAN, a GAN for producing unlimited numbers of portraits of fake human faces. StyleGAN was able to run on NVIDIA's commodity GPU processors. In February 2019, an Uber engineer Philip Wong used this software to create the website thispersondoesnotexist.com, and it went viral. Every time you refresh the page, a high-definition photorealistic human face appeared. Every single one was fake. GANs had officially crossed the Uncanny Valley. They could render the moisture in a human eye, the stray hairs of a beard, and the specific way light hits the skin. They were incredible at what they were trained on. If you trained a StyleGAN on faces, it could make faces. But if you asked the StyleGAN to draw a cat riding a bicycle in space, it would break. It did not understand the language, it understood the patterns. To move from generating pixels to generating ideas, we needed a bridge between human words and digital images. In January 2021, a research lab called OpenAI built that bridge. They called it CLIP, Constructive Language Image Pre-training. Think of it as an AI that spent its entire childhood looking at 400 million pictures on internet and reading their captions. Unlike previous models, CLIP did not just look at a dog. It learned that the word golden relates to a specific color and the crown relates to a specific shape of a head. For the first time, we had a referee that could look at the random pixels and say, actually that's starting to look like a golden retriever. Keep going. CLIP was a brain, but it still needed a body. It needed a way to actually draw. So within the same month, OpenAI released DALL-E. The internet lost its mind over one specific prompt, an armchair in the shape of an avocado. It sounds silly now, but it was a landmark moment. It proved that the AI understood the avocado-ness well enough to apply it to furniture. However, the original DALL-E was still a bit cartoonish. We were close, but the industry was about to pivot to a completely different math: diffusion. While GANs were two AIs fighting, diffusion models are more like a sculpture. Imagine taking a beautiful photograph and slowly adding static or noise until it's just a grey box of fuzz. It's called forward diffusion. Now imagine teaching an AI to reverse that process. You give it a grey fuzz and say, hey, there's a mountain hidden in there. Take out the noise and find it. Because the AI does this in tiny iterative steps, it has much more control than a GAN. This is the technology that powered DALL-E 2 and the tool that changed the internet forever, Stable Diffusion. In August 2022, a group led by Stability AI and researchers from LMU Munich did something radical. They released Stable Diffusion for free. Unlike DALL-E, which was locked behind a corporate website, Stable Diffusion was open source. You could run it on your home computer. Within weeks, internet exploded with custom checkpoints. People trained it to draw specific anime styles, architectural blueprints, and even medical diagrams. This was the Cambrian explosion of the AI art. But while the Stable Diffusion was for tinkerers, another tool was winning the beauty contest. And that tool was Midjourney, which was launched in the same year of 2022. Founded by David Hawes, Midjourney took a different path. Instead of a website, they built their tool inside Discord. Midjourney did not care about being accurate or open. It cared about being beautiful. It had a default style that was painterly, atmospheric, and cinematic. While other tools struggled with spaghetti fingers and distorted faces, Midjourney's version 4 and version 5, released in 2023, started producing images that were winning actual art competitions. It turned prompting into social experiences. You were not just making art, you were watching thousands of others make it in real time. As we moved into 2024, the weirdness of AI art began to vanish. DALL-E 3 integrated directly with ChatGPT, meaning you did not even have to learn prompt engineering anymore. You could just talk to it like a person. Adobe Firefly brought these tools directly into Photoshop, turning generative fill into a standard button for every graphic designer on earth. By 2026, we reached what's called semantic perfection with Flux Point 2 and Nano Banana. These models don't just make pretty pictures, they follow complex spatial instructions. If you ask for a blue bottle on the left tilted at 30 degrees with the reflection of a neon sign in the glass, it gets it right every single time. We have come a long way from Ian Goodfellow's blurry gray digits. In just over a decade, we went from can a computer see a line to can a computer dream a world. AI image generation is no longer a trick or gimmick. It is the new pencil. It has democratized creativity for those who can't draw, while challenging the very definition of what it means to be an artist. As we look towards the future of AI videos and 3D generations, one thing is clear. The generator and the discriminator have finished their game. Now the only limitation is the imagination of a person holding the prompt. Comment below what do you think about any of the models that I discussed today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.